So we've got Declan here early, so maybe we could do a little early introduction.
Let's do it. Let's
Yeah,
go. Yeah, why not? Like
kick
an
off.
extra couple of minutes.
Yes, absolutely. We can be extra long about it this time. Declan, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and all about Into Games?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Declan. I'm CEO of Into Games. My personal career journey has been very wibbly wobbly, and I've done lots of different things to get me to this point. So it's definitely not a kind of a straight road in any way, shape, or form. But I've worked in kind of events in the kind of charity sector. I've worked as a video shop attendant. I've worked as in big technology companies, all kinds of stuff. Now I head up Into Games, which is an organization that we started just under 4 years ago, so we're still quite new, but we're the kind of skills and talent non-profit for the game sector. So we support pretty much anyone that wants to kind of move in or work towards getting a rewarding career in games. And we work really kind of holistically, work nationally. We work at secondary school level, college level, university level, and then we support people who've already got a job in games to then go back and support more people to come into the sector. We kind of focus a lot of our time on trying to make the sector more diverse. So we work with a lot of groups that work with kind of women, those from low income backgrounds, but generally we work with anyone that wants to get a career in the games industry. We do that in a whole bunch of different ways. Primarily, we think the most important thing really is getting to speak to an industry professional as quick as possible. So once you've kind of identified that you want to get a job in games and you might have some ideas about where you might fit within that, but you might not know how a game is made, or what that pathway kind of looks like, or what educational path you might need to take. If you're ready, we can kind of set you up with speaking with an industry professional, having an industry professional come to your school, or just trying to make that kind of connection happen as quickly as possible. We do lots of other things around that. So we run lots of events, design challenges, loads of online content about how to kind of just get started with, making your first small, tiny game, which you should be doing just as quickly as possible, and doing that loads. We do loads of other things. We run courses, and we're also starting an after-school club program this year nationally, which we're launching in September towards the end of this year. So that's for year 7s and year 8s. So hopefully, if kind of relevant to some of the people that are watching here. But yeah, we do loads of stuff across the whole kind of journey, from just realizing that the games industry is somewhere that you could belong, which it absolutely is, and then taking your way actually into getting your first role at some point in the future.
Amazing. So basically, Into Games is the one-stop shop for everything you need with your games career. That's what I'm taking away.
That's what we try. For better or for worse, that's what we try and do. There's lots of plates to spin along that journey, and we do a lot of advocacy work at the kind of later stage when it comes to trying to create more accessible placements, trying to encourage the games industry to do more with apprenticeships, which is kind of rising slowly but surely. So there's lots of exciting stuff kind of happening, and really there's never been a better time to get into games and immersive. So it's definitely something that the people watching this should be considering on their own career journey.
Oh my God, there's so much I want to talk about there. So, but first of all, I'm going to start with, because you mentioned, the apprenticeship side of things, because it's come up a number of times now, today and yesterday as well. Is uni the only option in? With games, I think we've all heard the success stories, I'm sure, of 15-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds even just gaming, in their room, creating games, and then, not really having to go to study it further because they know everything there is to know, really, just by doing. Is that actually a true story? Is that the case?
I would say right now, you ask any major studio and you ask them the direct question of, is it possible to get hired here without a degree? Every single one of them will tell you yes. Okay. All you need is a good portfolio. But the all you need is a good portfolio bit is a much bigger, trickier thing to do if you're 18 years old and you've only been you only realize you want to get a job in games, for a couple of years maybe, and you've only been taking it seriously for a year. Like, you're not going to have as good a portfolio as people who've studied it for 3 years at university and had the space and time to be able to work on making that portfolio as good as possible. So it's not to say it's not possible. It's just to say that it's difficult with the amount of time that you've got. So if you know you want to work in games and you want to start working in a portfolio from 13 years old, then you know what? Maybe by the time you're 19, your portfolio might be good enough. If you've made enough games, if you've spoken to enough sector professionals, if you understand what a good portfolio looks like, that's a really important part. So if anybody wants to take a look at that, then I would recommend going on something like ArtStation, if it's an art-based role, or check it, or going on LinkedIn, finding out people who've got junior positions in some of the roles that you might want to go into. Reaching out and asking, that's always a great thing to do. What does your portfolio, your CV or body of work look like up to this point? Can you let me know? And then you'll know where to aim for, but it's tremendously hard to get hired in games. I think that's another thing, like, yes, there is a role for everyone, but you've got to work it's a really difficult, high-end industry to get into, and everybody expects the best. So yes, it is possible. Is it likely? Not so much, I mean, in terms of the people that get hired in the games industry, I believe the stats are somewhere around 88% of graduates, 88%, so you've got a really high amount of graduates getting jobs in the sector. Your best, most likely way of getting hired at the moment, that's not to say that we want to, us as an organization, we're really trying to push for as many ways possible that you don't have to go to university to make it as accessible as possible. But right now, go to university, make sure it's the right one.
Yes. So if you are 18 years old right now and you're watching it, then maybe it's a good idea to think about going to uni. But if you are 14 years old and you're watching this, actually there is going to be so many more options available.
Absolutely, completely, but get on looking at what a good portfolio looks like. Always make sure you check as well what the new good portfolio looks like in a year's time, because things change. But try and understand what great looks like, and then try your hardest to aim for there, and know that it takes years, and don't worry about the first stuff you make. It's just about making as many things as possible and enjoying it. That's the most important point. You're in a very lucky position at 14 where you can just do things for fun. Yeah. and really focus on trying to make, build, do whatever part of the sector you want to do as much as possible.
Fantastic. And then the other thing that you said in your original statement that I was like, there are so many things I want to talk about here, is the landscape of games careers. Like, let's just chat about that quickly. Because you mentioned, you were like, it's never been a better time to get into gaming. Like, it is like mad. Yeah. We need people, all of this. So you need loads of people. There are so many things available. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I would say that when I talk about getting into games, I think more broadly, I'd say immersive as well. So if you're learning games development skills, they're becoming more and more applicable across every sector. So the skills that you're learning through game development can be applied in architecture, they can be applied in medicine, they can be applied in all kinds of crazy areas. That are beginning to use all kinds of kind of real-time production techniques, or real-time tools that are actually based on game engines and the things that go into making games. So I think that's the first thing, right? So don't just set your eyes on the game sector alone, at this early stage, if you're 14, 15, but do set your eyes on learning some game development skills, because it's fun, really interesting, and you've got nothing to lose. They really are the kind of forward feature proof skills that you should be learning right now anyway. So that's I would say just crack on and give that a go, and to say your options are really broadened out from that point onwards. I think you had a question here about some of the biggest misconceptions in the games industry as well.
We even got onto the actual questions that I meant to ask.
Okay, no worries, no worries at all. But I was because I haven't got loads of time, so I just wanted to make sure that I said everything. Basically, well, I'm not going to say everything, am I? We're not going to have enough time. But that's fine. That's okay. That's all right. But I think it kind of relates to the landscape, because I think one of the I say I've got 3 misconceptions. I'd say first one is that you have to be a programmer to get into the games industry and to be making games. Not true anymore. Yes, if you want to get into games programming, you have to be a bloody good programmer, have to be amazing. But games are such big, complicated things that require Everything from, obviously coming up with a narrative, developing the marketing plan around the game, building the community that's around the game, all the kinds of publishing, everything. It's just a huge, giant, complex web of things that make a game happen. And when you find out more about how a game is made, you are kind of just like, how does this even happen? How does a game of this size even get made? How do you organize that many people in different roles to do it? But that happens, it's amazing. And it means that the people that are in those studios are just brilliant. They're the best they can be. But it doesn't mean that there's tons of different roles there. So, if you're not a programmer, and like, not everybody is, I don't care what the government wants people to be. They apparently want everyone to be programmers. That's fine, but it's not true. There's a small amount of people that love programming, and they should definitely go for it. But there's lots of people who might not want to do programming. They might have other skills in other areas. And I think the games industry is open to lots of different people with different skill sets, as long as they have some passion in that particular area. Second, I say that the game, another misconception, which is a little bit true, but getting much better, is that the games industry is just full of men. Actually, it's not. And it's getting better and better and better and better. Maybe it used to be, a while ago, but there's just so many amazing women in the sector, and we need more women to come in the sector. And people from all kinds of diverse genders and backgrounds need to come into games, because I would say games is the most important cultural art form we have right now. I mean, some people might disagree with that. I personally think that's true. So you need as many diverse voices to be able to kind of put out the interesting games that can connect to people, and make them love that game. That's what the game sector wants, is what it needs. So, if you're not a man and you want to get into the games industry, it's for you. Come and be part of it. It's really important. Third thing is that you have to love playing video games to get a job in games, and you have to play video games all the time. That's not true. Yes, it probably helps if you like video games. It'd be a bit weird if you didn't get into the sector and you hated video games. But what the industry wants is people that are passionate in certain areas, and that they have a passion for audio. You've got somebody I think's doing audio, talking later on, right? Yeah. They got their job probably because they didn't love video games more than anything in the world. It's probably because they love audio or making music or making sounds more than anything in the world. And it just so happens they can apply those to video games. So starting off a CV letter or your cover letter with like, I just love playing video games, it's not a good way to start a cover letter for anyone looking to get a job in games. They don't like that. Great if you are into games, of course, it is a good thing, but really it's about being really passionate in a certain area and using that passion to apply to the game sector. That's what's looking for. Got 4 minutes, so a few more questions.
Oh, brilliant. That is such a good bit of advice there, and it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so what are the things that young people who are at school right now can do to work towards a career in games?
So yes, build lots of little games. Card games, board games, doesn't need to be video game, traditional video games. In fact, it's better if you start out on paper-based games. Don't worry about the tech side of stuff. Look at building really or remixing existing games. So, how do you remix Monopoly? How do you, remix rock, paper, scissors? How do you understand the mechanics behind these things and then understand them enough that you can play with them and tinker with them? Do those little experiments, and as many of them as possible. And if you can record them, even better. If you can set up a little blog, or you can do a TikTok, or you can do however you get information out there that feels comfortable and safe for you. It's great to record those little experiments as you go. So just do as much of that as possible. Loads of great forums out there, loads of great stuff on Reddit. Use ChatGPT. I personally think it's the best careers advisor that's ever been created. If you want a direction about where you want to go, and you have you don't know much, and you want that kind of early stage information, not too intense, but that early stage stuff, use ChatGPT. Use it to come up with game ideas, all kinds of stuff. Embrace that kind of new technology when it comes to that kind of game making and career search stuff. It is great. Do game jams. Game jams are like live briefs that are put out as little competitions. A game jam might be, the theme might be I don't know, undersea robot creatures. I don't know what it is, but whatever. And then you'll have a certain amount of time, usually a weekend or a week, to build a game along with, hundreds or thousands of other people. There's something called Global Game Jam, which happens every year, which you can get started in. But there's game jams happening all the time. If you go to itch.io, they've got a great list of game jams that are ongoing. Just just go and sign up to one. They don't cost you anything. You'll be part of a community of game makers straight away. Often you can do them in little teams. You can meet people while doing them. It's just a really great way of just getting started and just, having a beginning and an end. I think it's really good with these kind of things to say, okay, I've got 2 days to make a game or a week to make a game. Let's see what I can do. And then it's done and you can move on to the next thing, because that's the only way you're going to learn. Go to local events. Obviously some people watching this might not be next to a major city or town. So it might be hard to travel to those, which is a bit difficult, but there's lots of online stuff that you can check out. So keep an eye out for that stuff. Sign up to Into Games, our mailing list, or go into our Discord, which I'll speak about at the end. We list all the kind of events that are happening regionally. WASD is a London event that's happening. That's really good, really affordable, and definitely worthwhile going to. But there's tons of them all over the place. Games Careers Week this year is good. We haven't got a final date yet, but it's July, I think. I'm not too sure. We're just waiting to release that. But you can go to gamescareersweek.org and check out more information about that. If there's any links that are being popped up in the chat, I imagine at some point. And that's a whole week worth of information about careers and free events and various stuff that's happening. Join our Discord. So that's one of the best places. If you use Discord, which most people do, if you're a gamer or you're playing games or whatever, then go to intogames.org/Discord, where there's lots of information, lots of regular chats, regular competitions, all kinds of stuff happening on there. And yeah, hopefully that's enough to get started with. But go to intogames.org as well and check us out. And there's lots of things on there.
Absolutely amazing. We've actually run out of time.
No problem.
But I am going to ask really quickly about the Discord channel that you have mentioned. So all of the links are there in the chat for everyone to have a look at, by the way. So we've got your Into Games Discord channel. We've got Games Careers Week, which you've already put in there, and Games Ambassadors.
Yes, so if you're a teacher watching this or a school watching this, then we run a program called the Video Games Ambassadors. The link's down in the chat, and that is a free service. We've got about 1,000 industry staff that go out and provide your students with an interesting careers talk about the game sector, or will come and mentor your students around a game jam or whatever you need. It's a free service. It's already got about 300-400 schools attached to it, but just go and sign up and do an opportunity, and that's probably the best thing to do.
Amazing.
Right.
I mean, amazing amount of information. All of the staff watching this will be so happy about Games Ambassadors, because I know that they get a crazy amount of requests for careers in games information, and they feel very under-equipped to be able to tell their students about what goes on in there. So you will be their absolute godsend.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and if they want to contact us directly, just hello@intogames.org, and we can speak about how we can help in other ways.
Fantastic. Well, also, I'm sure Declan will be sending us all of the information for the new programs and things that they're launching in the next couple of months anyway. And, Games Careers Week, we'll make sure to promote that on Eric. So whenever we get any links from Declan, we will make sure to promote that to all of our mailing list and all of that. So you guys will be kept in the loop with what goes on with Into Games, certainly.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Declan. Thank you so much. And I think we have Zoe next. Bye.